What up guys, SuperMetal983 here bringing you another album review, and this time I've got another progressive metalcore release for you to check out. I know we've just had so many good progressive metalcore releases at the start of this year, but you know what, I predict there's going to be some great ones later in the year as well, so prepare for more on the inbound, should we just say. But yeah, we've got another one for you to check out, and I'm going to be reviewing the new From Sorrow to Serenity album entitled Reclaim. This is released under Long Branch Records. Now, if you aren't too familiar with From Sorrow to Serenity, they are a four-piece progressive metalcore band hailing from Scotland, and I first got introduced to this band, I think it was around 2013, 2014, I can't remember the year exactly, but they were playing a local show in Sunderland along with Exist Immortal and a few local bands on the bill as well, and From Sorrow to Serenity was the main support act. Now, I did get introduced briefly just before the show to the band through their debut, I believe this is their debut EP, I could be wrong. This is their debut EP, from what I remember, is Antithesis, which is this one. Yeah, this is a solid EP. If you haven't checked this out, make sure you do. It's a very good stuff. Groovy, riffy, and just djenty in general. But yeah, solid stuff. Make sure you check this out. But we'll have a link to this EP a little bit further on. But then that was in 2013 when that got released, and 3 years later in 2016 we got the band's debut full length entitled Remnant of Humanity, which is this one right here. And this is a solid album. If you're into progressive metalcore or even metalcore in general, you need to hear this album. This is absolutely fantastic. A lot of groove, a lot of grit as well, and some really solid guest spots on here. You've got Aaron from Betraying the Martyrs, Scott Kennedy from Bleed From Within, and also CJ at the time was formerly of Thy Art Is Murder. Yeah, laying down some excellent vocal work on here, but in general, the vocals were absolutely exceptional on this album as well. But I believe it was just before or just after this album was released, they parted ways with their vocalist, which was unfortunate because his vocals on this album are absolutely fantastic. But yeah, what can you do? But yeah, check this out if you haven't already. But then, not too long after he parted ways, the band announced that Gaz King, formerly of Neck Silver, was going to be taking on vocal duties, and I was super stoked myself because I've been following Neck Silver for many years, and I went to school with Gaz and been following his vocal career for the past, well, God knows how many years it's been, and seeing him grow. So I was really looking forward to seeing what he could bring forth to the table, with From Sorrow to Serenity being a kind of different kettle of fish compared to Neck Silver. And we first got a glimpse of that in 2017 with a new single entitled Golden Age, which I've reviewed on this channel, link down below, make sure you check it out. And I was mighty impressed. If you haven't checked out the review, I absolutely love that single, and it's a regular to me playlists and jams throughout weeks and days go by. Like, it's such a good song to listen to. If you haven't heard it, make sure you do so. But yeah, Gaz's vocals on that really opened out and branched out and became a new beast, if you ask me, and it got us all that more excited for what was going to be next in store for From Sorrow to Serenity. And there and behold, we have a new album. They were teasing it a little bit, and then they announced they were signing to Long Branch Records and releasing their new album, which is of course called Reclaim. Now, this is an 11-track album, and it runs around 43 minutes in length, let's say. And I can safely say, with my hand on my heart, that this is easily one of the most riffing and groove central albums I've heard so far in 2019. This is absolutely fantastic, and in my personal opinion, it's leaps and bounds above Remnant of Humanity. And I just said there, Remnant of Humanity is an absolutely fantastic album to listen to, but this, in my opinion, just holds a lot more wow factor to it, and gives it much more of not just a wow factor, but an X factor, as I've been known to say. Like, it has an element of catchiness in there, from the riffs to the grooves, that's kind of the same thing, to the catchy vocal melodies, the atmosphere, and just the power that is on this album. The power is something, and the power and emotion that is on this album is just something to behold, if you ask me. It's just an epic, powerful, majestic atmosphere on this album. So don't expect anything very ambient or anything like that. Just expect some sheer riffs, pounding but catchy songs that stick in your fucking head. I mean, listening to this album, as much as I have since its release and when I got the promo, was infectious, should we just say, from the songs Denounce to We Are Liberty, Perpetrator, that is easily one of my favourite songs on this album. Supremacy and Resurgence and all the other tracks that are on here, but those are a couple of my favourites. Those tracks just scream out and they're just so memorable to listen to, and you just fall in love with this album if you ask me. The elements on this album, the only way I could describe it is compared to the last album, there's a lot more, I would say there's a lot more attention to detail in the songwriting and the production value on this album, and the riffs just feel a lot more thicker, a lot more juicier, if you ask me. Like, obviously with the djenty sort of tone, it's kind of like, you could say in an element it's progressive, not progressive, sorry, of course it is, duh. It's like percussive, you know, in a way, like, it's very, locked in, very tight, but it still has to have a lot of grit to it, if you ask me. It has to have that kind of like sharpness, and this one definitely has a lot of sharpness going for it, if you ask me, with the riffs being really thick and juicy, but it's still obviously quite thin and quite percussive sounding like the Djent tone is. But this is easily one of the best Djent tones I have heard in a long time, if you ask me. It's just something to behold. It's excellent stuff. It kind of puts us in mind, I might as well add, along the lines of Architects' more modern era, sort of like Lost Forever, Lost Together, All Our Gods Have Abandoned Us, and Holy Hell. That kind of like really clean, crisp tone, but it's still juicy and thick sounding, and that's all you need, really. It sounds absolutely epic in the guitar side of things, shall we just say. The drum work, once again, kind of like the guitars, is very locked in, very tightly played, a lot of groove in there, but it gives it that term what me and my mates use quite a lot, and my bandmates, is that pigeon bop sort of vibe, where you can just groove along to it, and just, you can feel it just taking over you and makes you groove along to it, and that nature just, oh, it just gives me the chills every time I hear it, and this album definitely does that on the drum work. But the drum work is exceptionally played, very powerful sounding, drummed, but it's still very impactful and crunches. It kind of crunches and pounds very nicely and echoes well with the guitars, so well done on that side of the mixing department, if you ask me. And if I'm not mistaken, the recording, mixing and mastering was done by the guitarist of From Sorrow to Serenity, and he's also known because he's in Blade From Within as well, so yeah, good work on that, if you ask me. The bass work, surprise on a lot of djenty releases these days, it's very clanky. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of that term personally, but I do love the tone, especially when it cuts through the mix just fine, but it gives it that really nice, tasteful rumble, and as if gargle sort of vibe in there to give it that really umphy factor, you know, like when you're given that clanky tone, it loses a lot of oomph behind it, whereas this doesn't do so at all. And you can feel that instantly when it kicks into the song, which is the fifth track, what I've talked about, Perpetrator. That riff, when it kicks in, it just hits hard and gets you really pumped up and makes you want to headbang. This is definitely a headbangable album, I might as well add. And the bass work is definitely headbanging, especially on that song. But anyway, yeah, an absolutely intense tone on there, clanky but still percussive and very well done, if you ask me. And then we move on to the vocal department, and this is something that, as I said, I was looking forward to on this release, because like, not only was Golden Age an absolutely fantastic job on the vocal department, as I said, but I feel like this, I wanted to see what was coming more from Gaz, because I knew he could pull off some really, like, mind-blowing vocal work. And quite frankly, he has done it, if you ask me. Like, from the half screams that he started to do more, which you heard on Golden Age, but would get a glimpse of clean vocals, like straight-up clean vocals on the song Resurgence, for example, on the closing track. It is an absolute huge, massive, humongous, monolithic powerful set of vocal work on there when it comes to the clean stack. It kind of does set in mind a little bit of that kind of Architect sort of either half screen clean sort of vibe in there. But I tell you, he has never lost his vocal range when it comes to his highs, mids and lows. He is still an absolute monstrous vocalist, and definitely one of my big inspirations when I started doing vocals myself. And this has just blew me away. His vocals are just exquisite, because I feel like his vocals are unmatched, because quite frankly he can deliver vocals on such an emotional level, and you can feel every bit of emotion in those lyrics that he's putting forth on this album. I think this is some of his best work lyrically. I can feel every bit of emotion. There's a little bit of politicalness in there, a little bit of hatred for mankind sort of vibe, so yeah, definitely feel that. But I feel the animosity and the anger, but I can feel the power in there, and it just makes it all that more finer and just incredible. There's nothing more you can put to it. This is absolutely incredible. And like as I said, with these great songwriting on there, crisp clear production, but it's still beefy as fuck. And then the inspiring, incredible vocal work on here and lyrics. You can't go wrong with this album. From Sorrow to Serenity have delivered an absolutely fantastic album. And dare I say it? Yeah, I'm going to say it. This is my favourite From Sorrow to Serenity album, definitely. It's absolutely fantastic. And by the way, the kind of link, I've just remembered, I forgot to say this when I said I was going to say this, was the link with the debut EP, Antithesis, to this one, was Gaz did a guest spot on the song, I believe it's I9, I believe it is, I9. He did a little guest spot on that song when this was released, and he's now joined the band. What can you do? But yeah, that is absolutely fantastic. But definitely songs I'd recommend are Supremacy is definitely my favourite song on this album. Close second would definitely be Perpetrator. And obviously check out the song We Are Liberty. Denounce is fantastic. Title track, that is exquisite. In fact, all the tracks on there are absolutely fantastic. So if you haven't heard this album, make sure you do so. If you're into Architects, Veil of Maya, or Heart of a Coward, then this is definitely an album for you. Absolutely fantastic, and definitely one of my highlights so far in 2019, as I expected it to be. And for an overall score though, I'm going to give this a solid 9 out of 10. Absolutely fantastic. Make sure you check out From Sorrow to Serenity's new album, Reclaim, released under Long Branch Records. And I'll see you until the next video, and remember, stay metal, and I'll see you later.